To BizJet TV. Today we've got a great guest. We've got Charlie Mullins, who's from the UK, but it's actually in Nashville, Tennessee today. Charlie's got an incredible story. He left school at 15, became a plumber, started building a plumbing business, didn't quite know where it was going to go, and it really went really big for him. A company called Pimlico Plumbers, who just recently sold his stake in the company for over £100 million. We're not going to disclose the exact number, but it's a high number. So very successful business in plumbing. So Charlie's going to tell us a bit about, his secrets to building the successful business, and then how private jets have come into his life, and what he does with the private jet. So Charlie, thank you for being here on BizJet TV. Welcome.
Thanks for inviting us on.
Yeah, so let's plug on here. So you started this business, it really got big. How did you make it that big? I mean, what's the secret to your success?
Yeah, the secret. I don't think there's an actual secret. I think it's
the secrets,
different versions that you do. But I realised that the change in the business when we started really growing was when we started to employ more people. So one of my sort of bits of advice I would give to somebody starting a business or running a business is to employ more people. I feel that the more people you employ, the more work you're going to take on, the bigger the company, and if you get it right, obviously more successful. So eventually, I started off as myself, one man with a bag of tools and a van, and then rented a room in Pimlico, hence the name Pimlico Plumbers. And we eventually grew to 450 people that we was employing, and a 50 million turnover, and the biggest, largest independent plumbing company in the UK, certainly the most recognisable in the world. We was very sort of big on PR side of it, and it just continued to grow and grow over the years. Obviously not as simple as that. Obviously you've got the downsides and the recessions, but if you've got a good product and you keep it going, I believe you'll be successful.
Yeah. Now, in your book, you mentioned interesting things that you did, like buying personalized license plates for your vans with things like Drain on it or Bog One and all that kind of thing, which obviously, people look at when they're sitting at the traffic light. So, oh, that's a cool, and it just reminds them. And then they maybe look at the name on the van and they write the number down, things like that. And then you also talk about the importance of looking after your customer and hiring good people. And I thought that was interesting.
There's many things. I mean, you mentioned the plumbing related number plates, and I'd worked it out that our vehicle, our van on the road, sign written vehicle, was our best form of advertisement and our cheapest. And in the end, I think we had about 260 vans on the road, and most of them had a plumbing related number plate, whether it be bog, shower, loo, boiler, drain, sink, just so many of them that we had, and it's a great way of being recognised, and I think that generated so much work for us. The recognition of the vans all over London, and rightly said, many other things that we've done. I think you have to do different things to be successful and stick out from the rest.
Yeah, you got to try different angles. Like here with BizJet TV, we do these interviews, we talk about different jets and whatever. And as a result of that, people that want to buy a jet or lease a jet or charter a jet, reach out to me and we do business. This is a great vehicle. So you have to be very creative, I think, which is really, really important. Now, when did you start using private jets? What was your first experience on the private jet? Because obviously you sold your business in London, but I know you've got property development stuff you're doing in Spain. And of course, you're in Nashville now with your music business. But tell us a bit about, how you started using private jets and what you're up to now, and how do you think the private jet's going to fit into your new ventures?
Yeah, well, I think I probably started about 12, 15 years ago. And, I had to get to Spain. I was buying a property, and I needed to get there, and I just could not get anything that was suitable, as a sort of chartered flight anywhere that was going to get me there on time. And it was very important. I was looking at a property. Somebody else was pretty much going to sign that day, so I had to sort of go there and jump in front of the queue. And I searched high and low to get there, just couldn't do it. And it was very much, I was sort of told the day before, if you're going to buy this property, you've got to get here. I hadn't even seen it, and I desperately wanted it because some friends had recommended it to me.
Yeah.
And anyhow, I got my PA to search around. I didn't think if I'm being honest, I didn't think like most people, can I afford to get a private jet? And he checked out and found something for us, within hours. There was quite a various choices, and it wasn't as dear as I thought. I think it was probably £10,000 or £12,000 at the time. and it done the trick, and it actually made me a lot of money, because by getting there, I purchased the property. It was a good deal. I still own it today.
Yeah.
And you know, just for that sort of thinking outside the box kind of thing. And that was my sort of introduction to it. And shortly after that, we do quite a lot of TV sort of PR stuff, or PR stuff, and we was asked to do a program with Catherine Ryan about you know, how do you get so rich?
Yeah.
And again, it was to go off to Marbella and you know, look at a villa with the interest of buying it. And I thought myself that, you know, Catherine Ryan, surely we got to get a private jet again. And that's what we done again. So we went off there. I took a few members of my family with me. Yeah. And that worked perfect. You know, it made a great program. It was just, well, it's like, it is what it is. It's a dream come true to be on a
it saves you time. So basically you got into it because you had a time problem and you needed to get somewhere quick. And the only way to get there where you controlled the time is on a private jet.
That's right, and you get there when you want, and you're fairly comfortable when you get there. And I've done that with other people. I've been invited on their plane before, often again to Marbella. They've had a couple of spare seats, and it's like, you think to yourself, well, this is just, it's like a new way of flying, and a lovely way of flying. I mean, we all know how busy airports are these days. I mean, you know, just like underground stations. And you know, I would say to anybody, if it suits you and you can afford it, then it's the only way to fly.
Yeah. So what type of jets have you flown in, and what are your favourites?
What are my favourites? The two, they're very small ones that I've been involved with. Let me just find the name. Sorry.
Yeah, what, the Holker or Citation CJ3, something like that.
Let's see where that's gone.
So what are they, about 5-6 seaters?
Yes, that's it. They're very small. Let me just find this one.
Yeah, also because if you're traveling from London,
okay, right, got it.
To Malaga.
Okay. Yeah, the ones I've sort of been on are normally either an Orca or a Learjet. I mean, they're not over big. They're not over big. They're probably 5-6 seaters. Yeah. And I have progressed since then. So if I'm being honest, my PA sort of deals with it. For me, it's just like, you know, turning up on at the airport, but you just streamline through and get on the plane. I never really take much notice of what it's called, but they've normally been fairly small. But what we started doing now is getting something with a bit more headroom.
So you're talking about headroom. So you're charging bigger jets now.
We started charting bigger jets, you know, because a little bit more headroom, a little bit more space in it. And I think that's the one we got with Catherine Ryan, like I think it was a Hawker 400. And that worked much better, you know, a little bit more room, a couple of more seats. And just a nicer thing. I think you've got to go accordingly to your budget. And if you want £12,000, we'll have 12,000. If you want 20,000, go to the next level. I mean, I think it's fairly obvious. The more you spend, the better the flight, the better the plane.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and so you're using it also to bring guests with you when you go to Spain, which is what a lot of people do, because obviously you make a good impression on people if you're saying, I'll take you with me on my jet instead of flying EasyJet or Ryanair. So yeah, it works very well for a lot of private jet owners to do it that way. Now, how do you think lockdowns have changed certain people's mindset towards air travel? And do you think that this is going to bring more people into flying private?
I just bear with okay. Let's forget them all. Yeah, look, since we've had the pandemic, I think it's changed people's views big time. I mean, I think we're more inclined now to you know, we want to get abroad more. We maybe got a little bit more money available that we want to spend on it, and you know, we don't want all this more messing. You know, there's been so much messing about at the airports with the situation that I think it's become more and more a simpler way of flying and a more practical way. I mean, at least you know you're going to get there with the private jet. With the pandemic, there were so many sort of delays, and they are flying, they ain't flying. You know, this carried on pretty much as normal, and again, it worked very well for me. I mean, again, we was traveling to Spain many times during the pandemic, and it worked perfect. I mean, mean, it's chaos at the airports, as you know. So I think it's opened people's eyes up that a lot of people needed to get somewhere, and this was the option to do it. And I say, I feel that it's not as expensive as it sounds, especially if needs are must kind of thing, you know. To be there.
Yeah. So you've been basically using private jets on short trips around Europe. When you're flying to the States, you've flown commercial up until now, correct?
Yeah, well, I've not actually, you know, because again, for some reason, a lot of my trips always seem to be fairly promptly. You know, it's got to happen next week or something, or after. You know, at the moment we're in Nashville, where my partner Rara, who's a singer, is finishing off an album. Okay. Again, we had to get here, but fortunately, we did manage to get something. But if we couldn't get it, we would undoubtedly have gone with a private jet. I mean, we had to be here. She needs to get it finished. Deadline is running out, and fortunately, we got flights, and it wasn't that convenient. I've got to be honest with you, with stopping and starting and that. And I think that you know, I did have that in my mind. If we can't make it work the other way, I'll move on to a private jet. And I think I've just got to get my PA to get a bit more of a schedule on prices, or a better way that I can sort of, you know, use them. You know, I don't actually own one, and I have thought about it, and I know for a couple of million quid I could get something. And it is on my mind, but I think I've just got to start traveling internationally more by private jet, and then decide where I'll go from there on.
Yeah, well, what you'll find, and this is what happened with Grant Cardone, who you may have heard of, he bought his first jet. He'd actually never been on a private jet before. So he bought the airplane. He spent 8.4 million on his first jet. And then he said, now I've got it. It's costing me money, whether I use it or not. I got to use it. So how can the jet make me money? So he started traveling a bit more and doing deals and sending the plane out to pick people up to come and see him. And then after a couple of years, he sold the jet to buy a $50 million Gulfstream G550. And then a couple of years after that, he's now onto a G650 ER, which costs 60 million. But he said his real estate portfolio, because that's the business he's in, went from 250 million to 1.4 billion. And he said, and the reason why it went from 250 million to 1.4 billion is because of the jet.
Amazing. Yeah.
So the best investment ever made. Because as you know yourself, Charlie, I mean, it just saves you stacks of time. It's a business tool, which if you have the money, it's worth the investment because it's going to give you so much leverage. Because you can decide now you're in Nashville. You say, you know what? Why don't we go to LA for a couple of days? When do you want to leave? In 4 hours? Boom, done. You know, you're
so right.
It's your plane. It's your plane.
You're right. I've actually, why we're here, and we wrap up here in a few days. And my mind has already been thinking, shall we go to Las Vegas from here?
Yeah, there you go.
You're right. If we had our own plane, undoubtedly we'd be going to Las Vegas.
And you probably take some people with you because you've got friends in Nashville.
Oh, yeah.
Turn around and say, hey, guys, fancy coming to Vegas for a few days? And off you go.
We've actually got, you know, the singer's actual manager, you know, I'm more of a business advisor, has also got a co-writer with her, quite a famous one. And that would have been, actually, I didn't think how you're thinking, but I need to think like a little bit more exciting. You're right. I mean, to go, I mean, just to go to Vegas would be amazing, but to actually go on a private jet would be unbelievable. Yeah, it's something I think I need to. Look, it takes a little while to adjust. I think. I mean, you know, I come from very much a working class family, and fortunately done very well, and it doesn't quite sink in that, you know, you can do these things if you've got the money, and you know, you can also do them if you're fairly careful on how you budget things, because as you know, there's some sensible sort of deals now that you can travel around. I mean, I've also just my family and now I've just advised them to travel to Spain. They wanted to take their couple of dogs with them. They're gone for 3 months, and again, my PA organised on a private jet, and you know, this is my son actually, and he's saying, you know, what a way to travel. You know, he just can't believe it. You know, the grandkids was with him, and the dogs were with him, and you know, and he said to me it was worth every penny. And I think he said he paid about 15,000, and I think there was 4 or 5 of them on the plane.
Yeah, because by the time, I mean, if you're going to fly, if you work it all out, if there's like 6, 7 people and you're flying business class or you're flying private, I mean, I'm not saying the price is about the same, but you take the fact that you're not going through the terminal with another 1,500 people, and it's taking 3 hours to get to the airplane. You're just driving your car up to the FBO park, go through the private jet terminal on the airplane, up in the air in 10 minutes. I mean, you can't beat that. I mean, the queues at the airports these days are just terrible.
Well, I mean, when I do go to the crowded airports, I mean, I kick myself and I think, oh, all this hassle and, and it's like, and yes, okay, we're traveling first class and you get a little bit more leeway with it, but the queues, there's nowhere any more busy than an airport. I don't even think tube stations are any busy. I mean, they wouldn't actually put cattle in a place like they do at the airports these days. So,
Yeah.
I do miss if I'm not flying private. I do miss it, and I have to say, as you just said, you drive into the airport, and within 10 minutes you're on the plane,
Yeah.
and often a glass of champagne in your hand. So it's no better way to do it.
Yeah. So tell us, Charlie, about what businesses you involved in now that you've exited the plumbing business and you're doing the music business. What else, and property? What else?
Yeah. Well, for some reason I met this singer, Rara, and she wasn't doing that great, and I come up with a few business ideas and just met up with her on a business point of view to advise her on that. And it seemed that within a year, she's from singing in, say in Dubai or Marbella, in just normal venues, to actually into Nashville and writing an album, and a couple of the records she released in September, and undoubtedly it's going to be successful. There's no two ways about that.
Yeah.
And I think it was just my business attitude that, telling her to, make sure you do things right and be different. And well, say she's gone from, just normal venue to writing, with famous co-writers out here in Nashville. And I now realise that, and I think her market's going to be in America. It's very much like a vintage singer, a mixture of an Amy Winehouse, Dusty Springfield, and I think the market's open for that, and it's really looking good for her. And already thinking ahead. I mean, she's my partner now. I mean, she wasn't when I first met her, and I'm thinking ahead now, and I'm thinking, she's going to be traveling America a lot, so we need to reorganize something. And again, when I think you're moving up into an high profile thing, you don't want all the hassle of, everybody in waiting and delays and not being ready to perform when you get there. So, I have got my PA looking into it, and, we're looking at perhaps bottom end a couple of mil at the moment, but I realise maybe we've got to go up quite a bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, Charlie, I mean, I always say the private jet is a peak performance machine. If you take the top 20 golfers in the world, they could not be in the top 20 golf rankings in the world if they didn't fly private, because you finish a tournament on the Sunday, the next tournament starts on the Thursday, and sometimes it's like 5-hour flight away. You're not going to do that flying commercial. And then what happens if your golf clubs get lost or whatever? So you've got to basically jump on your jet, maybe go home for a day and a half, and then jet out to the next golf venue. And the only way you can do that is by private. And the same if you're a professional singer and you're going around America doing concerts. When you step on that stage, you want to be ready with it to give it all you've got. But if you're tired because your flight was delayed or your bag got lost and the stress and this, that, the other, you want to be able to travel stress-free and on your schedule, not American Airlines.
Yeah, no, exactly. And if you can dodge the crowds at the airport and dodge many other things. I mean, look, I'm all for it. I just, it takes a little bit of a time to adjust, and maybe I've got to, do a couple of international trips on it. I think that's the answer, because
good idea.
I noticed the difference in Europe. It's like you get off, you're fresh, it's amazing. You don't even feel you've been on a plane, and then, I can't quite visualize what it's going to be like to travel to America instead of having this 10-hour and 3-hour stopover and then a delay on something. So I think once I move into that, I think it's going to be the way forward, and especially if she becomes successful.
Yeah,
which I feel very confident about that.
Now, Charlie, you obviously became successful following a route which a lot of young people don't do these days, because they go to university, they get a master's degree in business and whatever. While you've basically learned as you've moved along, and you've been very, very practical and applying new ideas right away, which is very difficult to do in a large company, or if you've been to a business school. The amount of stuff that they throw into people's heads, it kind of slows everything down. There's one gentleman I know, he buys businesses and flips them round. And he said, when he acquires a business, he does it in a week. He said, if I bring in the MBAs, it's going to take him 6 months. Well, I come in with my team in a week. We look at what we need to look at. We make the decision and we buy it, and the deal's done. So what would you say to a young person today that's watching this and they've come on the channel because they like jets and they think one day I want my own private jet, but obviously I need to build a business that can afford a private jet. I mean, what would you say to this young person? Would you say go to university, get a degree, a PhD, this or that, or go out there and develop your talent? And
well, I think there's no better way than experience and getting out there. I'm not a great lover of universities. I think you need to be a bit more hands-on. You don't need degrees today to have a great business. You just need common sense and obviously enthusiasm and sort of different ideas. I mean, we'll for sure and I like that bit you said that the person and they've got this business and they do everything within a week and looked at this, looked at that. It's very important to be able to make decisions and follow them through. There's so much that, well, I just, when we spoke, I said to you, by me jumping on a plane, I bought this property that I still have today. That's given me so much pleasure and made me quite a bit of money out of it. And I've done that a few times with properties. It's all, so I'm going to say to anybody, always be front of the queue, always get up there and make a decision. And look, you can't be right on every decision, but as long as you're more right than wrong. But so many people can't make a decision and they lose so much by it. And I have to be honest, I am a person that can make a decision. I already know if I'm going somewhere to look at a property or I'm at an auction buying a number plate, or I've started investing in watches now, and I unfortunately I've been buying them online, but maybe I should be jumping a plane again. That was in New York, another one was in Tokyo. I'd rather be there, but fortunately I managed to do it. So I'm thinking it's all about getting up and making it happen and not sitting on your backside, really.
The university people, that are some of them are this analysis paralysis, where it's spreadsheet. I mean, I remember meeting with some people a few years ago and said, you need to write a 60-page business plan and it needs to forecast the next 5 years. And I'm thinking to myself, how can you tell what's going to happen in the next 2 or 3 years?
Exactly. Look, I think many people complicate business, and I've always said to people that just keep it simple. I mean, the business we run, basically, we turn up on time, we've done the job, and we collected payment. There's nothing complicated about that. And but you are right, too many people they work this out, work that. I mean, the best way to do it is trial and error, and provide a quality service, and people will always pay for quality. And that probably reminds me, or takes me back to the jet now. They do cost money, they are quality, but people will always pay for quality.
Yeah, very true. Now, we're seeing what's happening in the economy right now with the price of oil gone right up. I mean, right now, diesel's like £2 a litre around the corner from where I live. So it's really high, the price of fuel. So this is affecting a lot of people. We've seen the stock market plummet down. We've seen cryptocurrencies go down. How long do you see this kind of crisis, so to speak, continue? And do you think this is going to have an effect on air travel?
I mean, look, certainly I think it's going to continue. And I actually believe that, we will go into a recession. I'm pretty confident on that. Will it affect air travel? Well, it's not going to affect the people that on a private jet, because they're going to get that jet anyhow, because they know it's the way forward. It's going to affect general air travel because, costs are going to be so high. And so maybe this is going to bring it in more in proportion that some people, could get together and perhaps take a jet between them there. But undoubtedly, things are going to go up and everything's going to go up. So it is going to affect many people. But again, I have to say it, the people that want to make it happen will make it happen.
Yeah, and this is what I've been saying to people, because people say, the price of jets is going to drop now, private jets. I said, no, it's not, because we've had a pandemic, we've had lockdowns, and people that have the money are not going to go through the terminals for 4 hours and 5 hours and get on a plane and then find out their flight's been delayed and their bag's been lost. If they've got the money, they're going to fly private. I mean, last time for financial,
I was going to say, interrupting you there, I'm sorry, but undoubtedly it will generate more for the private jet field, because I think airports are becoming more and more chaos there, more and more delays, and people are talking about striking now and all that, and the people that want to make it, it's like, talk about me again, if we've got to come back to Nashville and we've got some issue of getting here, what am I going to do? Of course I'm going to get a private jet. I'm not saying I'm buying one at this stage, but certainly I'll be buying enough sort of time on it that will give us a bit of flight, of course. And I believe the people that do that are going to come to the front, because you're at the front of the queue, aren't you? So you get served first.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Charlie, thank you very much for being here on BizJet TV. It's great. I'll post a link below to your website. So if people want to contact you for interviews or business or whatever, they can do. And everybody remember to subscribe to BizJet TV, comment below. We'd love to hear your comments. And that's all from Fabrizio Poli and Charlie Mullins on BizJet TV. And we'll see you on the next one.